Peace. Happy now. Now is a vibrate, of course. We're not going too far in the future. Not going too far in the past. Right now. Right now is more so of an open vibe in essence. Gonna speak about, just certain aspects of being in the moment. Just certain, self-help things to be consciously aware of that will help shift, your reality, you know what I'm saying? Because that's what it's all about. We tapping into this information and dealing with this work to know thyself, to know what's really going on in our inner universe. Because what's going on in my inner universe is different, uniquely different from there's no other being that's dealing with what I'm dealing with in the sense of it, you know what I'm saying? Of course, we'll have similarities of our path or whatever, but I'm uniquely working out a certain karma within my universe, and karma doesn't mean bad, doesn't mean good. It's cause and effect. Certain actions have a certain effect, and you deal with the effect that comes after your actions, whether it be on the scale of positive or negative, not good or bad. It could just be on this pole of the situation or this pole, but both poles are the same. Two sides of a pole is still that one pole, you know what I'm saying? They understand that, but we're going to get into certain aspects, Of course, again, first things first, now is the vibrate. Right now is the only thing that exists. You're simultaneously fixing your past. Let me say fixing for lack of a better word, fixing your past or changing your past and creating your future simultaneously in your now, It ain't no, oh man, in the future, this and that. The future is now, you know what I'm saying? And in the future, we'll have whatever you're talking about if you're working on it right now, you know what I'm saying? Reason why you feel like, oh man, the government gonna take over this and that. Because right now, you're letting the parasites take over your body. You're probably sitting down not doing the best that you could do on your spiritual growth. Therefore, you feel like the rest of, again, like, placing your inner universe and how you deal with it and projecting it onto other people or onto the collective. It's like, oh, well, because I'm feeling lazy, it's the end of the world. Because, you know what I'm saying, you're projecting what's going on in your now, you know what I'm saying? Your now consists of creating a bleak future, so your future looks bleak, and again, your future is simultaneously in your now. Again, it ain't no, oh, in the future is right now. If you're allowing for some bullshit to happen right in your now, then yeah, your future will project bullshit as well, So again, living every moment as if it's your last, and not in the sense of, again, knowing we are infinite beings, we're not going anywhere. It's just within this experience, it has this time limit in order for us to have an experience, And speaking of like time limits and stuff like that, to leak a little sauce on a certain situation, give me 1 second. Because in essence, technically time, this whole situation was created through when, you had the primordial mother, the celestial ship of the North, and then bam, then the 7 stars, and from the 7 stars, and again, everything went from Sabian to lunar to sun. Sabian meaning the stars, then they went to the lunar, the moon, and then the sun, meaning, like in essence, not say worship in that technical sense of it, but, keeping up with the stars, keeping up with the moon, and keeping up with the sun. And that's why things shifted from dealing with the mother and the sun, and then eventually the Trinity, because matter of fact, in the irony type of situation, the Trinity, you would think it would be the mother, then father, then son, but it's actually the mother, then son, then father, because at first it was the mother, then there was, the all that is, the mother first and foremost energy, you know what I'm saying? Then you had that immaculate conception creating the first son, and then that first son ended up growing up to be the father, father time, the Chronos, the Saturn energy, and basically with that creation of Saturn, that created time in essence. Because yeah, firstborn represented as, the different aspects of Chronos. And and basically when this time and the measuring of cycles was created through the creation of Chronos becoming Father Time, then creation began. And you'd be like, well, damn, how could time start creation? Well, think about a creation. A creation has a beginning date and an expiration date. Hence why we know we're infinite. Like we're infinite beings on a temporary experience. That's why we always speak on this levels to this shit. There's some things within this temporary realm that was only created in this temporary realm. Therefore, it has an expiration, a born date and expiration date without having an infinite soul. So because it doesn't have a soul, once this little temporariness is gone, and it's gone, you know what I'm saying? And that's the whole, again, for whatever we want to call spiritual warfare that's going on, is that parasitic energy trying to stop us from, knowing thyself and ascending, basically. And again, as we know thyself and ascend, as we do our inner work, it automatically reflects externally. So as we clean up ourselves, it cleans up this realm. So, those parasites that really won't have any food as we clean ourselves up, and then it reflects in our external realm, as well. But again, and the Elohim, because I know a lot coming down about that, like, that Enoch, the Watchers, that seven energy, you know what I'm saying? The sons of God are the seven stars, in the constellation. And then, and then you think about the Bible, we will create man in our image, Jehovah and Elohim is basically the feminine aspect. And matter of fact, and by the celestial ship of the north. So this is where a lot of my research is coming from, where I'm speaking on. If you're wondering where I'm speaking on this from, is the book Celestial Ship of the North. But even down to the name of God being like unspoken, like tetragrammaton. Tetra, the the 4-letter word in essence, in Greek terminology. But that's Yahweh, Yod, Hey, Vod, Hey, arm, leg, arm, head. But anyway, that name, the true origins of why that name was like unspeakable is because they were shifting. And again, I talked about switching from the Sabian aspect to the lunar aspect to the solar aspect. So when they switching into these cycles and they no longer honor the mother and they starting to honor the father, the name of God becomes unspeakable, because it's like, hey, don't speak on the mother aspect. And it was more so on like yeah, it's something that shouldn't be spoken of. And then it kind of turned into like, no, on a derogatory level, like we don't deal with that mother energy, don't speak that name, you know what I'm saying? So that's where you get that Yod Hey Vod Hey, that's parts of the origin, let's say that, you know what I'm saying, of because a lot of things can have so many meanings in it, but that's one of the reasons why it became the ineffable name, in that sense of it. So So again, that's why creations, that's why you are not a creation, but a creator. You know what I'm saying? A creator is infinite. I don't have no born date, no expiration date. This creation of a bodysuit has a born date and an expiration date because it's a creation. But I am not my bodysuit. You see how all of that adds up? Why we say I'm not my bodysuit. This is a vehicle. This vehicle was created. As that primordial darkness, as that no thing. It wasn't no creation and there's no expiration. Forever is forever. And that's something that the logical mind finds very difficult to, intellectualize and conceptualize, but it is what it is. Infinity has no born date. And matter of fact, the reason, part of like xenophobia, the reason why, this parasitic energy moving through, some of these, quote unquote European energies, these oppressing energies, and the reason why they got xenophobia is because, when you're not able to connect to the infinite, then one man's God is another man's devil. The infinite and being tapped into that is your devil, because you can't tap into it. You know what I'm saying? It's like something that kills you in essence, you know what I'm saying, from that perspective, you know. So that's where that xenophobia comes from. Again, and another thing too, because if you're a logical being, if you create and base everything you do off of logic, and God defies logic in essence, basically, then you gonna have a problem with God, because you can't put it into a box. I can't control God. Like a dog, man's best friend. I can't control God. And matter of fact, and God flipped around, dog. I can't control the dog in the Anubis energy. Also, I can't control this dog or this god, you know what I'm saying? So I'm scared of it, you know. Like with most things in this realm, that you know, when you see that parasitic energy, if it can't control it, it's scared of it. You know, it's a fear. That's why everything is about, you know, the only thing to fear is fear itself. And what you don't even want to fear, but you know what I'm saying? that's the whole aspect of it. You know? And again, duality was created to have a dense timed experience. You know, like to have, you know, like for source to experience itself. So we had to slow things down, you know, and in order for, you know, for you to experience hot, you know, you gotta experience cold, you know what I'm saying? In order for you to experience day, you gotta experience night. And we go through the macrocosm and microcosm of this, you know, or should I say we go through this aspect, you know, on a microcosmic level within our day. You know, so in a smaller aspect of like how things cycle through this cycle and that cycle, we experience that throughout our day. And now we're coming to a place of realizing, well, hey, it ain't even no two different things. It's two sides to one coin, you know. And this just was created for us to have this experience, but we know that we are infinite and we have the choice to leave this realm. You know, somebody been tricking us to reincarnate back in this realm, and now we're knowing like, oh, I have a choice. I could actually, you know, incarnate outside of this realm. You know, again, no right or wrong, no good or bad. You know, all these different things. But again, creation began, you know, when Soot or Soot Typhon, you know, being serious, you know, that energy moved. And just like reincarnation and where that physical star stayed serious, but the energy of, you know, that first sun moved into what, you know, is called Saturn or Soot, you know. And again, this is just energetic fields or expression, you know what I'm saying? Like, we personify this into a human aspect in order to grasp the story of the universe, basically, you know what I'm saying? Story of the creation of the universe, you know. But and those connections with the seven, you see Savek. I think Savek is from the Kemet pantheon. We're dealing with something with the sevenfold. You got Ea, you know, Ea, that's connected with Enki and Enlil, father of Marduk, and Marduk was the one who slayed Tiamat, aka Tiamat, this Soot, you know, Typhon, like something always trying to kill the Kundalini energy, because one man's God is another man's devil. You know, if I'm only temporary, I'm not trying to allow the infinite aspect of God to reawaken in this temporary realm. You know what I'm saying? Because then I won't no longer be able to control it. You know, if I was a person trying to keep people down or keep the God energy down, that would be that perspective. You know? Then you got Ra with the seven souls. You got Agni in the Hindu pantheon with the seven arms. And in Gnostic scriptures, you got Chanubis, which is almost like Anubis, but Chnubis with the seven rays. You know, all this, again, going back to the seven and the seven sons of God, you know, the Elohim, you know, Jehovah, you know, which Jah is kind of like the masculine aspect, and Hova being the feminine aspect. And I caught a download that Ethiopia's karma was basically, it was the first to worship God and promote it, like on the outside your body type of level, putting the divine outside the body and embracing the masculine energy more than the feminine energy. And when you look up Ethiopia, though, they're known for being, you know, the first Christians, you know what I'm saying? And we know anything about religion, we know that we don't want to be religious, you know. So Ethiopia being that first aspect of implementing that religion, so what goes around comes around, you know. The road to hell is paved with good intentions, you know, even though it may have seemed as, you know, quote unquote good. It's like a, you know, going through those certain, you know, to a person with high responsibility, they go through things, you know. And if you that energy from the primordial mother, because that's the whole story of the Hebrews. The reason why the Hebrews was exiled was because they were still connected to the mother sun, or the primordial mother Soot, which later turns into Saturn or Satan. Hence why these fake Ashkenazi Jews worship, you know, the Saturn energy in that way, because again, it switched, you know, and that thing shifted to the solar energy and worshiping Ra. now those Hebrews that still, quote unquote Hebrews for lack of a better word, those beings that still connected to those primordial energies and knowing how to deal with it are seen as outcasts. Because one man's God is another man's devil, you know. These people who now, you know, worshiping the sun, you know, gonna see those ancient beings connected to that mother energy as something bad because it's disrupting what they're worshiping in this current cycle that they're dealing with, you know what I'm saying? So again, you know, and we talk about you know, again, Soot over the Sabian. The Soot is known as the Sabian sun, Kansu known as the lunar sun, and Adonai known as the solar sun. You know, again, going through uh, these different cycles. You know, let's see. And again, Source or God would become evil to a being that wouldn't want to change during these cycles. So, you know, as these cycles come up and it's time to shift and change, you know, God have become cruel and bad and mean, you know what I'm saying, to a being that's not wanting to shift or not ready to shift or doesn't remember what this whole situation is about. You know, now God is evil, you know what I'm saying, because I want to stay the same when you know, when the whole aspect of what I signed up for is speaking to change and shift. You know, the only thing constant is change, you know what I'm saying? Changing and going through the cycles, you know, and hence, you know, why, you know, again, the Chronos or Saturn is seen as the devil. And that matter of fact, and while I'm speaking on this is also the aspect of why, you know, the Saturn moon matrix, like the Saturn and the moon is keeping you in the matrix. Now, basically, Saturn, you know, is teaching about discipline or responsibility and accountability and putting you in your humanity. Saturn, you know, speak on the black box or, you know, the 666, the carbon, you know, like Saturn puts you, you know, in the boundaries of your bodysuit into your humanity. And Saturn says, hey, you're going to be responsible and accountable with learning what you know, learning within this, you know, experience, you know what I'm saying? And the moon is amplifying and swaying your emotions, you know what I'm saying? And if your emotions is not in check, then that may also keep you in this realm. So if you ain't mastering your humanity and being responsible and accountable about mastering humanity and then mastering your emotions on top of that, you know what I'm saying, in connection with your humanity, because your emotions, you know, it comes from what you're experiencing within this realm, you know what I'm saying? And if your emotions get out of hand or you know, you're over emotional about when, you know, your sun transition, forgetting that your sun is just a soul on a human experience and that, you know, that was just a temporary bodysuit that left. But, you know, because you're caught in those emotions, you know, that'll have you reincarnating this cycle. So, you know, that whole aspect of the Saturn moon matrix, the Saturn moon, and also that connection, you know, Saturn takes at least about 28 days to cycle throughout all the zodiac signs, you know, from Aries going through all 12 back to Aries. Let's just say if it started in Aries, or if you're a Taurus, you know, flow all the way around back to your Taurus energy. Saturn takes 28 years to 30, you know, 30 years, but 28, let's say 28 and a half to go through that full cycle. And it takes the moon 28 days, you know, to go through its cycle in connection with the feminine cycle as well. So you see those two things, you know, having a strong connection with what plays out for you within this realm of reality, within this hologram, within this temporary dream world, you know, that we're experiencing, you know. So like the Saturn moon matrix, you know, keeping us down. Like again, don't let these things turn into characters that you're labeling as good or bad or right as wrong, you know, right or wrong. Like that takes us, you know, when I say us, that would take you into the most lostness ever, you know what I'm saying? Like again, and that will be your lesson in your next life, to remember that not to label these things as good and bad. And if you don't catch it right now, again, nothing good or bad. You just have to reincarnate and learn this all over again, you know. And from what my insight says, you know, you would be here for another 25,000 years, you know. Every cycle, you know, again, is a shift in cycles, and with those shifts comes a openness of awareness, you know, for you to realize like, oh, it's parole. It's basically parole for angelic beings, you know, that been in this realm and you know, came down here for the experience and kind of got lost in the sauce, and it's like, oh shit, you know, good behavior, you know, you could incarnate into a new realm. You know, hence the Book of Enoch. You know, check out the Book of Enoch. Basically, the Book of Enoch is an astrological book. You know, point blank period. Like, you know, speaking of the 7 planets, which is connected to the 7 stars, or should I say the 7 stars, the 7 planets, the 7 chakras. You know, and all those energies, and you know, and breaking down the celestial spheres and the cycles and how things move. You know, and again, because it's, you know, in parable, and when you think about the word, you know, pair, you know, compare, you know, like a parable is like two, you know, a pair is two things, you know, parable meaning, you know, it, it's a pair of meaning, like, you know, it has one thing it's saying and then it comes with something else it means in a pair, you know, a parable, you know, when we talk about comparable, like, you know, like communication of parables, comparable. And again, I didn't read up on that etymology, that just came to me, you know, and I'm pretty sure I'm very accurate with that. But matter of fact, again, this literature, you know, the scholarship, you got the light of Egypt. I think is one of Jeremiah's book, but Jeremiah's book, a book of the beginnings, volume 2 and volume 1 is heavily like quoted in the Celestial Ship of the North book. You know what I'm saying? And H.P. Blavatsky's The Secret Doctrine, and Isis Revealed, I think, is another one that's quoted a lot by H.P. Blavatsky. You know, when they go to talking about the precession of the equinox in the book, they bring up S.G.P. Karen in the book called The Faith of Ancient Egypt. You know, as a matter of fact, and Graham Hancock is another brethren that has books that speak on, like, you know, the Dendera and you know, the great deluge, in essence, like, you know, this great flood that happened, you know, that everybody keeps up with. You know, there's also literature in those books as well. And then Rudolf Steiner would be somebody to connect with. I started on it a little bit, but Cosmic Memory, you know, in connection with that Atlantis Lemurian connection and transition. A little quote: Saturn regenerates through pain and suffering as he lifts the veil, revealing the great light beyond. You know, like a Saturn teaching us to, you know, go through the hardships, go through that darkness, go through our humanity, you know, pain, suffering, and all these different things, learning a lesson. And basically, it's the story again of the triple darkness, like the Kabbalah, or the tree of life. You know, you've seen that symbol before, you know, coming from the triple darkness, Ain Sof, and Ain Sof you know, the three trimesters in your mother womb, as above, so below, as within, so without, dropping down and forgetting itself, you know, as it's dropping down through the Sephiroths, you know. And they even speak on how at one time, you know, 10 was the number that was real important to the Hebrews, then it switched to 12, you know, and it's 10 Sephiroths on the Tree of Life. And thinking about Dr. Phil Valentine speaking on Malkut, you know, the bottom Sephiroth, missing like the two parents. There's two parents of Malkut. Like all the other Sephiroths has two parents except for Malkut. You know, and Malkut represents that, you know, the earth, or the dense, you know, lowest aspect of, you know, being, in essence, you know, and that energy, you know, has no father, missing two Sephiroths. So if you add 2 to the 10, that would give you 12, and, you know, connecting with the 12 zodiac and things of this nature as well. And there's also a connection with the 22 paths in between the tree of life, in connection with the DNA, but I'm not too familiar with that aspect. And look, went from speaking, being in the moment, but again, you know, that, because if I could recall, I shifted into this conversation because I brought up now, you know, brought up being in the now. It started about living every moment as if it's your last, and I kind of brought up, you know, not dying, like, you know, we don't die, but at the same time, you know, we built this construct where it's temporary, so you do have a certain amount of time to live out your soul purpose, you know what I'm saying? But again, living every moment. So back to that, living every moment as if it's your last. Why entertain petty arguments or gossip? Like, cause think about it from that perspective. If you was told, again, don't you don't have to look at it like, oh, if I had 24 hours to live, or if somebody told me I was gonna transition in the next few. But I mean, in some way, form, or fashion, you should look at it in a sense of, or just more so, again, just cherishing your now instead of having to create a negative, the devil's advocate perspective to be more in your moment. Like, just again, realize the importance of it. But I mean, that helps though, because when you look at it like that, like if I was gonna transition in the next, because that's how we should look at it though. If I, like, say, friend, like on some YOLO stuff, even though you live more than once, but it's like, if I was transitioning tomorrow, what would I do? Oh, I'm gonna do this to the fullest. I'm gonna do that to the fullest. I'll tell this person I love you. I tell this person fuck you because I've been acting like I love. You know what I'm saying? Whatever the case may be, but you're gonna be real, authentic and real in your moment. You know what I'm saying? When you're, because, and again, we're living in the every moment that also speak to you being your authentic self. Because it's like, well, fuck. Since I only got so much time to be here, fuck trying to live for somebody else or living because of somebody else's opinions or what society say is right or wrong. I'ma fucking be me to the fullest, you know what I'm saying? I'ma live my life to the fullest, and my now, now is the vibrate, now is all we have, you know what I'm saying? You could, matter of fact, like, just the joke of it though, like, again, not entertaining petty arguments or gossip. It's like, shit, you could croak in the middle of a petty argument or gossip, so why even be involved? And if I transition, I'm a transition doing something I love, you know what I'm saying? It's gonna be in a moment of enjoyment, you know what I'm saying? Again, and stop arguing for your downfall, because again, the egoic mind could take a back door on some logical reasoning. Well, it's about balance, so let me create some negativity in my realm to create some balance. Like, nah, you're balancing out the masculine, feminine energies, low and high nature, and the balance with negative and positive is, you're understanding the importance of both in that essence, but you're not going out looking for negative situations and then calling it, oh, I'm keeping it balanced. Like, nah, but, now or never. Speaking of the now, you know what I'm saying? True forgiveness, in this now, making our heart way lighter than a feather, But, true forgiveness, is, so to know if you truly have forgiven somebody, like when you see a person place a thing, and you no longer have an emotional reaction. Because, you could say, I'm over this situation, I'm over this person, I'm over this place or thing, but then when you see it or come across it, you have like a emotional jerk, just a chain reaction in essence, to our emotional reaction again when you come across this person. And again, it's like touching an old wound, you know, uh, that still hurts in essence, It's like, you got this wound or whatever, and then you touch it like, oh shit, you know what I'm saying? I thought it healed. Conscious mind thought it healed, but I guess not. But then you get to a point, and that's how you know you really heal. And how you know that a wound healed is when, you touch it. Matter of fact, you be doing something, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh shit, bro, I forgot I had this shit, right here or whatever. I've been doing this and that. But because it's healed, you don't even feel it or even pay attention to it anymore because it's healed. And what we focus on grows. So that's why it's so important to heal certain aspects within ourselves. You know what I'm saying? Because when it's healed, it loses that how can I say, that pain, and then we're less focused on it. So that's why the importance of healing. As we heal things, it's like it loses its pain, and as it loses its pain, it loses its reason to make us pay attention to it in essence. But again, true forgiveness, even if it feel like they were an agent trying to harm you, you know what I'm saying? it's like true forgiveness, because realizing that, for whatever it's worth, like, you're thinking a true agent, you don't ever want to give anything external, whether it's a parasitic energy or not or whatever, you don't ever want to make anything seem like, oh, that happened to me because of that external energy. Like, nah, it's always my inner universe that's allowing things to pop off. Point blank period. Point blank period. You know what I'm saying? So making sure we get into a place of true forgiveness, man. Not letting our heart weigh heavier than a feather. Like, if a KKK person want to hate black people or whatever, that's on them. You know what I'm saying? Like, in my day-to-day, there's nobody like punching me in my face or like, come here, Universal, listen to what I have to say. Like, nobody touching on me or in my immediate universe fucking with me. So why, I'm gonna go out on a soapbox to be against that energy? Because again, remembering, you create those situations too. Like, if I say, for instance, if I'm studying information to to just to preach, then the universe are gonna create those people to preach and fuss with. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I'm learning about things so I could go, I'm learning about my indigenous nature so I could go fuss with a white person about what's the origins of things. You know what I'm saying? Then I'm creating that realm to be arguing instead of learning about this information to learn about myself and master my inner universe. You know, using it for little petty situations. And it's like, nah, you want to learn this, you know, to again, your heart weighing lighter than a feather. That's the end game, in essence of leaving this realm. You know what I'm saying? Being lighthearted, not taking anything too serious. No coincidence that Sirius ended up turning to Saturn, and Saturn, like, be responsible and accountable for your little humanity lesson, so you could, you know, you ain't trapped in here, but you gonna learn your lesson before you leave, and you gonna learn it for sure. It ain't no backdoor shortcut or none of that to learning what you gotta learn, in order to lead this realm, and be lighthearted, and lead this realm. But true forgiveness, and you'll realize again that you had that true forgiveness for something whenever you no longer get that knee-jerk emotional reaction when you come across that person, place, or thing. You know, another aspect I wanted to bring up, as a matter of fact, speaking on true forgiveness. I want to speak on toxic relationships as well. As a matter of fact, any toxic relationship starts with yourself first and foremost. If you allowing a certain toxic energy within your inner universe, then it's gonna project externally in the way you deal with the external realm. You're gonna allow for certain toxic behavior, toxic people, places, or things to be present in your external realm because you're allowing for it to be present in your internal realm. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna speak a little bit about that. Nah, just in general, from speaking to just general relationships and somewhat on a, companionship relationship or intimate relationship type of vibe. But, toxic relationship starts with the ones we have within. We tolerate from people as much as we tolerate from ourselves. We tolerate from people as much as we tolerate from ourselves. So again, if I tolerate certain toxic behavior inside of me, then I'm gonna allow myself to deal with certain toxic people, places, or things. Because it's like, like, say for instance, like, if on a simple level, if I smoke a cigarette and I allow, no good or bad, right or wrong, that's part of your experience if you do smoke cigarettes. If I'm smoking that cigarette and I'm allowing those chemicals from that cigarette to come in my realm, then, my external realm on the physical, on the external universe vibe is going to project those same chemicals in the form of people, places, and things that has that, same level of toxicity, in essence, like, the same level of toxicity that cigarette would have to my inner being. I'm going to experience people, places, or things that has that same level of toxicity. You know what I'm saying? Right, you know what I'm saying? But again, so if we still have toxic relationships with certain things in life, again, like food or certain substances, then we will invoke people, places, or things with that same level of toxic energy, you know what I'm saying? And it's like clockwork, you know what I'm saying? Like if you hit the blunt from anybody, like you just smoke after anybody, you don't care, then you're not gonna be aware or care about the different energies that you come across in your realm. You know what I'm saying? Again, people, places, or things. You're not gonna be, you know, like, oh, just bring it here. Like you're gonna allow for things to come into your boundaries that that you may not want because of how loose you are. If you loose with who you smoke behind, and it's gonna be loose the way energies kind of come in and out of your realm. You know what I'm saying? On that level. Plenty of acid trips or just psychedelic journeys, showed me like that portal of like, smoking and who you smoking with, and like sometimes you might want to pass up on that blunt. You know what I'm saying? For the sake of your inner universe. You know what I'm saying? And yourself and your own self mastery, Speaking of toxic relationships, pay attention to the patterns and not apologies when dealing with people, and that's again on all relationship levels, just in general. You know, uh, matter of fact, that's what I wrote. That's why, I sometimes feel like it's pointless to even say I apologize. Matter of fact, I think about like apologies for the late reply, like, because I'm dealing with anybody who know me, like, on that vibe. It's like apologies for the late reply, you know what I'm saying? And then sometimes I feel like it was even pointless, like it is what it is. But it's just, for the gesture of it. But at the end of the day, it is what it is, like, people should know where my heart at, you know what I'm saying? And I say should know, let me not say it like that, you know, from my accumulation of my actions, and what I've always shown, it's understood, how they say what's understood don't have to be explained, you know what I'm saying? It's like, it's understood that, you know, I wasn't replying late to make a person mad, or like I'm replying late to fuck with you. Like, it's understood that, so, I shouldn't even have to apologize. But, you know, again, speaking on that aspect, pay attention to the patterns and not the apologies, We're moving into a realm where it's no longer just, oh, my queen, you're so beautiful, I love you. Your actions gotta say that. You know what I'm saying? Fuck saying the words, because that's a little sneaky way to opt out of really doing, really doing or showing that love through your actions. You know what I'm saying? Again, actions speak louder than words. Oh, I really care about the indigenous people, and I really care about, these are this and that. But then, you're part of gentrifying people neighborhoods and not giving a fuck about it. What do your actions show? You know what I'm saying? It's neither right or wrong, good or bad. Just again, just speaking on, the patterns. What does your action show? Does your action show that you're not trying to oppress people anymore? You know, like again, oh, I love you. While still keeping the knife in your back. You know what I'm saying? Like, but I'm not gonna pull this out of your back. Oh no, I'm smiling in your face and I'm saying I love you. I'm not pulling this knife out your back. It's like, forget the words, what your actions showing. And if that person's actions showing that they're trying to keep the knife in your back, then again, back to the accountability and your responsibility to not depend on others to take care of you, but being accountable for you to take care of you and take care of your inner universe. Pull that knife out of your back, and do what you gotta do. But again, the actions speak louder than words. Matter of fact, I could say I'm not your guru, but does my behavior speak it? That's another thing too. I became aware of, within my realm. Like, I say I'm not a guru, but also, really make sure that when I come across people, that my actions really display that I'm not trying to be somebody that's over somebody in that sense of it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm speaking from my experiences and my, inner wisdom from my experience and my inner gnosis, but not speaking from a place of like, hey, you're my student and I'm your guru. Again, because the actions speak louder than words. Again, back to the conscious mind, the subconscious realm, is what our actions, And what we just do on autopilot, it comes from the subconscious. Like over 95% or really 98% of what you do, say, and whatever on autopilot comes from the subconscious mind. You could consciously say, "Oh, I'm not scared of crawfish," but if a person put a crawfish in your face and you'll jump because you haven't really, subconsciously you're still scared of it, and that's one of the aspects. And now speaking on relationship aspects on a companionship level too, the reason why a lot of us single is because, again, actions speak louder than words. And a lot of us, our actions show that we care more about being an entrepreneur than being in a relationship. Our actions, show that, you know, just whatever other than being in a relationship, your actions are within your day. And I've made a video about that, like jokingly saying how like we used to go out to the club, and you would have a condom with you, on some like I know I'm gonna have sex to this, so and on some like low key ritual magic, when I say low, high key magic ritual, in essence of like having this with me, in order to create the situation, because the subconscious, go off of expectations. What do you expect is what you manifest. You have a certain belief system of expectations, that's programming your subconscious. So what you expect is what manifests, and the energy you're giving off is what manifests. Like who and what you are is what manifests, and not what you're thinking about or what you want. It's not just about visualization, it's about the energy you're giving off. Like you'll manifest that million when you start feeling and being like a millionaire, not just by, oh, I'm visualizing a million, I want a million. Because in that want stage too, you got to be aware that when you visualizing and doing from that aspect, you don't want to look at it as if it's missing, like from a lackful aspect. You want to visualize and see it as like, oh, I am that millionaire right now and I'm seeing it. Visualize yourself spinning it, like, and be emotionally connected to that energy. Like that's a strong aspect of manifestations, when the emotional energy, like really feeling the energy of what it is, that you're dealing with, but again, it comes from the energy you're giving off. And matter of fact, that's the ultimate telltale sign of anything. Like when you're dealing with anybody within this realm, it's behavior and actions. Matter of fact, I look at myself like, oh man, I was that guy. And sometimes I done show flashes of it, but correcting it in those moments, like, here, bro, let me throw something on the herb, because I see that old part of me coming out. And again, not malicious intentions, but still actions speak louder than words, and I hold myself accountable for that. But like being that person, like, oh yeah, bro, I quit smoking yesterday. You want to hit the blunt? Oh sure, why not? Oh yeah, man, I quit smoking, bro. I'm quitting smoking. You want to hit the blunt? Yeah. Come a few days later, I'm still hitting everybody blunt, but I quit. Like I'm not buying my I'm not buying my own herb and stuff like that. But too, I'm jokingly saying that because that's what's real about being authentic and 100. I would keep it real with my brethren. Like, look, I quit, y'all. Like, I'm going to smoke your shit if you offer it. But I'm reaching a stage where I'm not provoking myself. Like, I'm not buying no more herb. If y'all happen to be smoking on 20 blunts and, I might just catch the urge to tap one, cool. But, you ain't going to find me buying her. You know what I'm saying? But, keeping it real. So, within that sense of it. But still, just looking at that aspect, though, now, again, I was keeping it real, but let's just say I wasn't, like on some, like, oh, yeah, I'm quitting. Oh, yeah, I'm quitting for real. And then I keep smoking. My actions speak louder than words. I could say I'm not mooching off of them and not, trying to mooch on the herb, but, what does my actions show? My actions show that I'm constantly mooching off the herb. Or my actions show that I'm only going around this person when I'm without herb, or when they got herb, whatever the case may be, you know what I'm saying? It's like the actions speak louder than words, you know what I'm saying? And that's something, again, as we're saying, because when we step into this realization, some of it might be so strong, you'd be like, oh, shit, like I didn't realize, how much I was faking the funk in this area, or not being authentic in this area. And it's like, don't be mad at yourself, don't judge yourself. We're always doing our best, and if you haven't, then realize too, always do your best. And by doing your best, you won't have that feeling of judgment, like, oh man, it's like, bro, I always been doing my best, So And when you have that awareness, that opens up that portal for you to correct that situation and however you see fit. You know what I'm saying? But again, that's just to indicate of how much work you have to do. Other aspect I brought up because I got like a drop of ridiculousness, and what I'm speaking to with that, like I thought about like how we want to eliminate certain energies from being in our vortex of certain energies that we allowed in our subconscious realm, or aka within our inner universe, that isn't beneficial to our soul growth, you know and we want to make sure we're cutting off these energies fully, because remember, this is a dream world. There's no reason to be scared of but you say cutting people off, whatever, but you know what I'm saying, like, there's no reason to be afraid about being your authentic true self. And if that authenticity happens to back somebody out of your universe or whatever, that's again, that's what's meant. You know what I'm saying? That you shouldn't feel bad or anything of that nature. But what I was gonna say is a drop can turn into gallons. And you know how you feel like, oh well, I'm gonna just let this energy slide this time, because it was just a small amount of this energy. Like say for instance, like I'm back to not dealing with religious, and like I'm not fussing with nobody religious. I'm not trying to convert or trying to, like, I don't give like realizing that no matter how many books and how much I may know that I'm dealing with a very accurate truth within my realm, I'm still not walking around here worrying about trying to make a religious person see it or feel like I gotta fuss with them, things of this nature. So with me saying that, no drop of ridiculousness. I'm not gonna have a situation where it's like, oh well, cause they subtly bringing up religion, I'ma deal with it. Like, nope. Like, subtle, whatever. Like, if I'm disconnecting that from my inner realm and my universe, and I'm disconnecting it fully, because again, that drop of ridiculousness, what we focus on in our now grows. Like, whatever we're doing in our moment constantly comes, that's what creates our loop, is what we're doing in our moment. You know what I'm saying? And our loop could be a bunch of quote unquote, because a loop technically would be like repeating something, but I mean, in the essence of it, I say a cycle. A cycle could be dealing with newer things, but it depends on what we're paying attention to in our moment. And if I'm constantly giving energy, whether, again, it's a little drop, I'm giving attention to that little drop, eventually that little drop will turn back into a big ass gallon. And I find myself back dealing with that energy, all because of, I feel like, oh well, it's just a little bit, so I deal with it. Oh, it's just a little bit, I deal with it. And that little ridiculous drop turns into a big ass gallon of water, gallons of water. So stop the drops, those small moments. Again, like with Abraham, bring up Abraham Hicks, if y'all familiar with Abraham Hicks, Esther Hicks. Stopping the momentum before, like, you could stop a car, like a car on a slanted hill. If it starts to roll at the beginning, you could catch it, what I'm saying, at the beginning stages, so catch it at the beginning stages, when it's still small and it's still able, when it doesn't have a lot of that momentum pushing down on the negative aspect. Because if you try to wait, what I'm saying, if you don't catch it, you let it get big, to big gallons of water, what I'm saying, but you let this momentum get strong, when a car coming down a hill at full speed, again, and you try to, like, oh, let me stop. Matter of fact, I think about what that was, Problem Child, where the dad was marrying this new woman, and they had that big rock with the heart in it, and the lady Wanda, whatever her name was, stood and had her hand out like, I'm gonna stop this rock, and that shit rolled over, type of vibe. As the same thing, you don't want to wait till the momentum gets too strong, because you're not gonna win that battle just off of the strength of the physics of the way energy move. It's like that's got too much momentum going. You know what I'm saying? Like, hence the way sports work. You know what I'm saying? That flow of momentum. You know what I'm saying? Like that's a real thing. So not a drop of ridiculousness. Catch it early. You know what I'm saying? Like on some, I'm gonna only say something if they get too ridiculous. Like, nah, if it's a little ridiculous, speak out on it now. You know what I'm saying? I'll forever hold your peace. As a matter of fact, that's another aspect I wrote up. You know, as an aspect of like a true curse word, like, you know, people say, I'll be damned if such and such happen. And literally, like, that literally be accurate, you know, because it'll be like, well, most people use that word like, I'll be damned if I allow for this and that to happen. And literally, in most cases, those situations, you will be damned up, because what the word damn means is to stop the flow of things, you know, to stop the water. We are, you know, we mostly everything deals with water, you know what I'm saying? Our body is mostly water, therefore as above, so below, as within. So without this realm is mostly water, you know, and being dammed up, like, you know, the Hoover Dam damming up the flow of the water. You know, we want the water to flow, you know. We want to continuously flow and not stay in the same cycles or the same area or stay stagnant. We want our water to continuously flow, continuously move. That's basically it. You know, always remembering, you know, it's different levels to being in this realm as far as learning. You know, a 12th grader about to graduate is going to have a different approach to learning than a kindergarten. And what you have out here with a lot of cases is, you know, the situation of information being explained from a kindergarten being, in essence, you know, trying to teach your old soul. Know thyself. That's why it's important to just know who and what you are. Because again, you have nothing to blame, you know, but yourself. You gotta be accountable for your own humanity and your own situations you're dealing with. That's basically it. You know, remember that it's, again, the whole aspect of balance, you know, because it's easy to say fuck everything and go to the extreme and just like, oh, well, I'm gonna just be all the way over here. I'm gonna just be all the way over here. But to balance, you know, to deal with balancing out both of those realms is very, you know, that that shows that strength and that ability, you know. Uh, and remembering that your poverty or hardship, you know, is because you're trying to hold on to a certain parasitic energy. Like a lot of people experiencing, you know, certain hardships. Because even within my realm, you know, like still little remnants of certain things exist because it's still, again, what's going on in my inner realm reflects external. So if I'm still holding on to dead aspects, so like, you know, certain levels of consciousness that are no longer going to be actively working in the energies we're moving into, then those those like I say, those aspects of consciousness are gonna fail miserably within my realm, because, you know, the universe is, you know, high self, inner self is saying, hey, you know, we're not dealing with that capitalistic system the way it was built. So anything that you got dealing with that, so basically, like, you know, again, anything with this parasitic Westerner type of aspect was created, and you still kind of lodged on into any of those forms of consciousness. Like if you're a woman and you done bit into the overly masculine vibes that they promote, you know, you're gonna see things keep failing for you when you kind of keep tuning into that you know, that over masculine energy, because the universe is trying to tell you, like, nah, like, you know, tapping into your feminine aspect really and for real, you know what I'm saying? Again, because there's a balance of energy within all of us, masculine and feminine. Is that aspect, though, again, where they throw it off to have a hormonal imbalance, you know. And matter of fact, I'm reading this, we're listening to the audio book of a book called Ulysses, uh, and it's in connection with PBH, not P, yeah, BP, Pascal Beverly Randolph, you know, the melanated brethren that basically started sex magic in America, and also started the Rosicrucian, Rosicrucian house or whatever in America, or whatever. But in his book, even speaking on like one of the aspects of like I don't know if he spoke on like how homosexuality kind of also was created, like even before, like, you know, like a certain aspect of like like even down to like conception in the morning or at night, or conception around a certain time of year, like all of that science. And that's what everything, we talk about the Garden of Eden, and like the whole aspect was, again, like being accountable for planting seeds, like basically a personification of the God, our God self, teaching us on a humanity level, like within your human aspect, you got this knowledge of God, cool, you done bit this fruit, you know what's up. But within your humanity, within your temporary bodysuit, and embodying that God within your temporary bodysuit, you need to be accountable of how you create your seed. You know what I'm saying? So knowing that conception during the morning or during the night, or a certain moon cycle and all, like it's like accountability, for creating the universe, literally. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what you're creating, by the sexual experience, and why a lot of people say 1 + 1 = 3, because one man plus one woman equals a third child, or altogether 3 beings. You know what I'm saying? Or that Trinity. And again, how I spoke on earlier, and check out my video, Immaculate Conception, where I go into that aspect a little deeper, speaking on the bees and that connection. Because I don't have that book around me now, because I was also quoting things from the Flower of Life book, the Drumvalo Melchizedek book, where it was speaking on the Immaculate Conception, and like how bees work, where only like to have like male bees, the queen doesn't need to mate, but in order to create another female, it needs a male to mate. It's something of that nature. I don't want to start the information, but but that's basically it. Subconscious programming ourselves is very key right now. Again, and work on yourself, and then like do rituals and magic on yourself in that level, like just like the movie Get Out, or just like movies, or Get Out, like the movie Get Out, and like movies in general, like how movies or anything try to capture your conscious mind. I'm bringing up Get Out because Get Out, in the movie, she's stirring that tea to catch the conscious mind, so she could shovel the subtleties of programming into the subconscious mind. Do stuff like that for yourself. Like, be listening to affirmations, or you could probably create this on a recorder, like I am Source, I am God, I am the universe, and put that on a recorder and have it on repeat, and have that playing throughout your day. But then do other things within your day. You know what I'm saying? Be like doing this, doing that. And as you're doing certain things, your conscious mind is being occupied, and those affirmations are being pushed into your subconscious mind. And then automatically you're gonna sway, subconscious. And it takes time, just like lifting weights. Go watch my video called Triple H, or Habitual Healthy Habits. Like that's habitual healthy habits. You gotta be habitual about creating your new habits, because you've been habitual about creating the old unhealthy ones. So you gotta be habitual about creating the new healthier habits. You know what I'm saying? Triple H. Habitual healthy habits. So again, having that affirmation, playing low while the conscious mind is occupied by something else. There's all kind of other subtleties. Again, sigil magic, things of this nature. I got videos on sigil magic. As a matter of fact, type in universal frequencies and whatever like subject matter you seeing to see that I'm talking on. Like, so you want to see my videos on sigils, type in universal frequencies and sigils, and it should pop up. Also, I have playlists. You know what I'm saying? I got playlists with my 2015 videos, with my 2016 videos, which I'm still working on that. I got videos just on the subconscious, so, because again, a lot of these aspects I'm speaking on, I'm not going to go backwards and re-explain them, and I realize sometimes I feel guilty because I didn't, like the certain names of my videos makes it hard in some cases to go back exactly to some of them, but I tag them in a certain way that when you research them, it'll still come up, but that's basically it, y'all. Peace, peace. Happy now. Now's the vibrate, of course. I'm not going too far in the future. Not going too far in the past. Right now. Peace, peace, y'all.